Ladies and gentlemen, the Biden administration, or Joe Biden himself, has sunk to a new low. You would think that there'd be a limit to the completely irresponsible, irrational, incoherent statements from this man. You would think mashed potato brains would actually do what he says and take responsibility for the catastrophe. He decided not to abide by Trump's peace deal, which Trump would have implemented January 21st, 2021. He would have had all of February, March, April, May. To spite Trump, Biden did not do this. Now he's blaming Americans. Biden is blaming Americans, saying that to them 19 times, well, sorry, there were 20 checkpoints because you put we'll just call them the T-ban in charge of security. It's like trying to get into a nightclub and the bouncers are the T-ban. Okay? So, and then there's 20 or 30 checkpoints. And Lord knows what kind of bribery and what kind of things they were asking people to do or to give them to get through the checkpoints. In addition to all of this, we still have Americans left behind. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. We are around 184,000 subscribers. Let's get to 185,000 and to 200,000 subs. Nobody on YouTube, there might be a couple people, but nobody, only a handful of people are talking about the Doha Agreement and how had Biden simply abided by that, we wouldn't be in this catastrophe. And so during a speech recently, so hit subscribe to this channel, to my super chat. I can't do this without you, and I thank you. And if you know anybody who would enjoy this live stream, share the link to the live stream to them. Hit subscribe. Tell your friends. If you know anyone who might enjoy my work, my latest opinion piece in the Jerusalem Post is below in the pinned comment. And you can go to hagoodman.com and read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Roanoke Times, other publications. There's a section on hagoodman.com opposing counterinsurgency conflicts. The same conflicts and wars that Biden and the Lincoln Project and Bush got us into, the American political establishment that is now blaming Trump for their failures. Trump wasn't in office 20 years ago, and he's not in office now, so you can't blame him. Look in the mirror, Biden. If you even know where the mirror is, if you even know where you are, look in the mirror. You did this. Don't blame the 100 to 200 Americans. Biden says U.S. committed to safe passage for the last 100 to 200 Americans. How much you want to bet? And you look, ladies and gentlemen, and why are there still Americans left behind? Why? This is how they run. This is how they run. The public relations spin is always the same thing. Eric and Luke, thank you so very much. It's always the same thing. The two best moderators in all of YouTube, thank you. They come to the barbecue with Bob. Phyllis and Bob didn't come to the barbecue. We reached out to them. We sent them invitations in their email, but they didn't want to come home, or they didn't want to come to our barbecue. Isn't that horrible? We reached out to them, but it's all public relations. That's how they run. Do you understand? Well, there are Americans left behind, but we did reach out to them. And, we reached out to them, and they didn't Afghanistan with the T-ban and IS and AQ and every other group that might, separate their head from their body. So, we reached out to them, don't you know? We're Democrats. We have all of media to prop up our lies and misleading statements and out of context, completely absurd and irrational viewpoints. So we sent them a singing telegram. I mean, somebody came to their apartment or house and said, hey, if you want to go back home and keep that head attached to your body, come on by to the airport. And by the way, oh my God. Okay, sorry about you keep on. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. You keep on. The way Democrats work is the following, okay? The way Democrats work is the following. They care about public relations. It's a complete public relations ploy. We reached out to them 19 times. He's literally blaming Americans left behind for his failures. Sorry again, ladies and gentlemen. John, thank you. Yeah, we're at 184. It always fluctuates, like 183,999. So it just goes back and forth. But we're at 184 now. If you know anybody, ladies and gentlemen, who might enjoy the channel, let them know about the channel. But Biden defends Afghanistan withdrawal, recommits. So the U.S. had reached out 19. Let's read this. So let's read this here. This is an ABC News article. There's a Politico article in the pinned comment. Biden downplayed that part of the foreign policy crisis, saying the U.S. had reached out to the remaining Americans 19 times. The bottom line: 90% of Americans in Afghanistan who wanted to leave were able to leave. What does that mean? So the 10% who wanted to leave weren't able to leave, and for those remaining Americans, there's no timeline. We remain committed to get them out if they want to come out. If they want to come out, what kind of lie is this? James Scully, James, thank you so very much. James, thank you. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. To my viewers in the UK, Australia, around the world, thank you so very, very much. Thank you, James. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Can you believe, James, our wonderful president? I call him mashed potato brains. And can you believe this man is blaming Americans for his missteps, for his lack of awareness? He's blaming, ladies and gentlemen, James, everybody here, he's blaming Americans for he's saying that they wanted to stay there. They wanted to stay. According to Biden, they can come out whenever they'd like. We're going to try our best to get them out, but it's their fault. Do you understand? This is you're not going to get a fact check. Fact check. 3.7564 Pinocchios. This is a running tally of Biden's lies. We're up to 5,650. Oh, that's right. The Washington Post doesn't have a running tally of Biden's lies. They stopped that. They stopped that. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Here's one of Biden's lies right now. Isn't it interesting how they don't have a running tally of Biden's lies? Okay? You have to understand, Democrats, they don't engage in a lot of hyperbole. What they engage in, Trump engaged in hyperbole. It's easy to kind of fact check and slice and dice hyperbolic statements, even though most of it's true. A lie by omission is very difficult to decipher for media, let's say. James, thank you again. He's saying that the bottom line, quote, the bottom line, 90% of Americans in Afghanistan who wanted to leave were able to leave. We don't know that because he's lying there. So bumbling Blinken, our fantastic Secretary of State, literally stated he doesn't know how many Americans are there. So how do you then, this is the way they manipulate data and statistics for everything. How do you know that 90% of Americans were able to leave if you literally don't know how many Americans were there? When asked, they did not know. Just like they don't know how, this isn't as important, but they don't know how much weaponry was left. They don't know anything. And they don't know why they moved it from May 1st. We should have been out by May 1st. And the withdrawal should have begun in January. If you went by Trump's timeline, we would have had time to get out. To spite Trump, which nobody knows why. It's U.S. national security to spite Trump. We had to wait until the past couple of weeks. Why did we wait until the past couple of weeks? Why? Why? That's a question that mashed potato brains no doubt can't answer. Thank you, James. Ben D. When Dad said, exactly. When Dad said, son, always pull. I didn't mean like this. Ben D. Thank you. Yes. I think it was Socrates who said that. Either Socrates or Voltaire. Ben D. Thank you. So, again, the lie by omission and the manipulative, you couldn't have a relationship with somebody like a husband or wife. I mean, it wouldn't last. The bottom line, 90% of Americans in Afghanistan who want to leave were able to leave. First of all, everybody wants to leave. The notion that he's trying to sell, the idea that he's trying to hawk or sell, that people, there was a choice, like people, and then some wanted to stay, for the scenery, the weather, the surfing. There's no surfing, but obviously I'm joking. Nobody wanted to stay. So let's absolve our administration of guilt, absolve us of the responsibility of leaving Americans behind, and we're okay with this as a society. Could you imagine? It would be day 1, day 2, day 3 of Americans left behind. CNN, Trump. The Orange Menace left Americans left behind because he's eating McDonald's and cheeseburgers. And Trump, he's so arrogant. He's playing golf. Oh my God, and there's Americans left behind. Day 56 of Americans left. There's still Americans there. You better believe the media we have is so one-sided, so warped, so apoplectic when it comes to defending Democrats and throwing everything, including the kitchen sink at Trump, and nothing sticks. They're not able to indict him, or they're not able to charge him in a court of law. They're not able to do anything. They're not able to sue him in a court of law for anything. I mean, at least a criminal. They have never leveled a criminal charge at Trump, and they never will, because they're lying through their teeth all the time. He never worked with Russia. He never pressured Zelensky. He never did any of these things. They can't prove any of these things in a court of law. You could get him for a crime for pressuring a world leader. That's a criminal act. If this was a corrupt motive and he pressured Zelensky and he withheld military assistance and it hurt the country, you could get him. There are laws. 18 U.S. Code 371, they tried to get him on. You could probably use that one. They tried to get him on 18 U.S. Code 371, and I wrote an article in The Federalist explaining how Comey and McCabe should be charged under that statute. You could read my writing in The Federalist, The Daily Caller, other publications also on hagoodman.com, Salon, Jerusalem Post, The Huffington Post, The Hill. And those remaining, there is no timeline. We remain committed to getting them out if they want to come out. What do you mean if they want to come out? Dweez Droid! Brisboy, thank you. Orange Pill, yeah. Dweez Droid, thank you. Dweez Droid, thank you very, very much. I hope all is well. One of the great names of this channel. Dweez Droid, thank you. So, what does that mean? What on earth does that mean? You have a situation where we have a president that there's nobody on the planet that thinks this man is lucid, cognizant of what's going on, or running the show. Not our adversaries, not our allies, not even the Democrats don't think so. They don't care. Do you think they care? Their lives revolve around ensuring that Trump is no longer around. Their lives are like the only thing they care about is ensuring that Trump is nowhere near the Oval Office. That's it. That's national security to them. That is national security to them. It's not anything else but that. Okay? They don't They do not believe that national security has to do with anything like evacuating Americans. They think that national security is whatever CNN says. Whatever CNN says about Trump. Whatever CNN says about Trump, or whatever they think is appropriate according to their sensibilities on any topic. James Scully. It's a blame game now for the Dems. Exactly, James. It is a blame game. They cannot look in the mirror. They cannot take responsibility. They can't. They're never culpable for anything. They're never responsible for their own actions. They always have to blame someone else. And they have media, the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, the Daily Beast, BuzzFeed. The Atlantic. Oh my God, the Atlantic. If you had like Debbie Wasserman Schultz or anybody like Tom Perez of the DNC, if you had these people actually writing in like a newsletter, it wouldn't be as one-sided and biased as the Atlantic. The Atlantic published an article that elicited more emotion. Like, they said Trump disparaged fallen Americans, and nothing could be further from the truth. They completely fabricated it. They offered no evidence, and it was called journalism. Now that created more of an emotional response than Americans left behind in Afghanistan. Tony, thank you. James, thank you again. Dweez Droid, as always, thank you very much. I hope all is well. Briz Boys, thank you. Dweez Droid, thank you, as always. James, thank you so very, very much. I hope all is well. To my UK viewers, thank you for watching. And to my viewers in Australia, New Zealand, elsewhere, thank you so very much. Nepal, Thailand, thank you. Canada, thank you. You have a situation where they decided to wait until the last minute. And now, because they decided to wait until the last minute, people are stuck. And there are very likely more than 200 people, okay? It was really heart-wrenching because you had aircraft that were waiting, but they had to pull out and leave. And people that were on their way to the airport, okay, they couldn't get there. This is something that Democrats and media aren't telling you. I mean, there are news reports that are hidden within the overall spin. So they're within the articles here and there, you can kind of get a glimpse of what's taking place. But they're not really vocalizing this or amplifying this reality. It is a war zone. It is a Mad Max, dystopian type of scenario. There is no, police or rules of, conduct. There are no rules of conduct. You have an organization now that will decide arbitrarily, how it treats people. If you are trying to get through checkpoints, they literally gave the Taliban the right to control the perimeter of the airport, and they gave names and lists of Americans to the Taliban. What if the Taliban said, no, we're not going to let this person out? He has to pay us. She has to pay us. Do you think there's graft and bribery in this country? It's called donations into a large philanthropic organization and other examples of bribery and graft. What do you think happens there? You think the group that Biden gave lists to, that he charged with security? Why would you give the Taliban the ability to be the security force. Do you think Trump would have done that? No way. They think Trump is this otherworldly monster, so they're completely irrational. You see what they do, like they revel and they're gleeful when somebody passes away who doesn't do exactly what they want. Yet if somebody passes away and they do exactly what they want, they then say, well, you know what, that's okay. Yeah, we mourn for that person, but we don't mourn for anyone who doesn't do exactly what we want. We revel, we rejoice in their demise. You're talking about people who are infinitely more of a bully than Trump ever was. They say Trump was a bully. Okay, you could say that here and there. You could say that he's gone overboard here and there. But not to the extent. When Trump's brother passed away, they said hashtag wrong Trump. You're talking about people who are like generally as despicable as they think Trump is. As they think Trump is. James, thank you again. Dweezroyd, thank you. Ben D, thank you. Like, you have to understand the mindset, not of all, but of many morally superior liberal Democrats. They wake up in the morning telling themselves they're morally superior, that they are on the side of justice and truth, and there's nothing that Trump could do right. You can't give him credit for anything, even negotiating a deal that would have gotten us out in a stable, organized, strategic, methodical manner where everyone got out safely. And you know what? There could have been missteps here and there, but at least he would have had a blueprint and a framework, not this haphazard, spiteful way of leaving. And so when we had record low unemployment, they focused on Trump's tweets. Do you understand Trump's social media messages? Twitter is the worst thing ever created. It's a distilled form of mankind's negativity. If you could find this like fine mist of negativity of the negativity of mankind, humanity's, base, angry, frustrated, spiteful, malicious sentiments, all these horrible emotions in this like distilled form, it's Twitter. And so when Trump tweeted, it was like a million times worse than leaving Americans in Afghanistan for morally superior liberals, because they only care about image. Not all of them, but a great many morally superior. You have to understand the mentality. It's this warped, twisted mentality. They've disowned friends for disagreements on politics. They view politics as morality. Like not, oh, this policy is more moral. No. You're immoral if you don't listen to them in every way, in everything. Because they don't realize that CNN and MSNBC are television shows. Just like when Andrew Cuomo got an Emmy, they don't realize that. They don't realize that politics, a lot of politics, most, and it's a theatrical performance. These leaders are actors, okay? You have to be an actor. Even Ronald Reagan said that. He said the thing that got him prepared the most for politics is being an actor. You think AOC truly believes that the world's going to end in 12 years? You think she truly believes this? You look at climate change, it's an important issue. You think they truly believe that the world's going to end? They're buying beachfront property. They're passing resolutions and not legislation. They want to use it as a way to pontificate, to judge and condemn. If you truly believe that the world's going to end because of climate change, then you pass legislation tomorrow. But you don't believe that, so you don't. You have the House, you have the Senate, you have the presidency. So if you don't want Medicare for all or Green New Deal legislation, not a resolution, all of these things, everybody knows what they stand for. Relations. Every day is a giant press release. The news is a daily press release. It's not like the news. We used to have the news. We used to have Hollywood. You could watch the Academy Awards. Hollywood had nothing to do with politics. Maybe here and there you'd have an actor who was, an activist, but Hollywood had nothing to do with politics. You could watch a sporting event back in the day, like even 7 years ago, 8 years ago, had nothing to do with politics. 15 years ago or 20 years ago, you had Sam Donaldson, you had Peter Jennings, you had David Brinkley. Okay, you had these people you had Ted Koppel. You had these people who didn't care. It was none of their concern whether a Republican or Democrat won. Now you have everyone pulling for the Democratic Party because the underlying theme is, hopefully the Democrats win. And it's like news is so one-sided. It's unbelievable. And the emphasis on, more people lost their lives from heart disease according to government data last year. Why aren't we focused as a society? Could you imagine if the hysteria and the mania was, instead of the current public health crisis that has overshadowed everything, that has dominated the lives of morally... This is the worst time for this public health crisis or global health crisis to take place. This is a way for them, through social media, to glorify and to gleefully mock and denigrate and insult people who've lost their lives, who didn't listen to them, while at the same time pretending that people don't lose their lives around the world and in blue states listening to exactly what they say. All you have to do is look at their reaction to Herman Cain's demise. And God bless him, great American, great human being. You could disagree with him politically, but he was extremely successful. And look at these morally superior Democrats who talk about supremacy, and then they were gleefully mocking his demise. And then look at the way they look at the Emmy they gave Andrew Cuomo for literally putting infected people in nursing homes, directly causing, according to Democrats, 12 to 15,000 lives lost in the most heartbreaking manner. It's 6 p.m. Pacific time. So, just answering question. So you look and it's like, instead of like going after Biden, you have one article, CNN, Biden gives a defiant defense of withdrawal from Afghanistan. And then he says, I was not extending a forever exit. You in a haphazard manner, okay? And he tries to blame Trump, which is unbelievable. It's unbelievable that it's completely unbelievable. The previous administration's agreement said if we stuck to the May 1st timeline that they had signed, leave by the T-band wouldn't attack. But we didn't stick. But if we stayed, all bets were off. So we left. But we didn't stick to that timeline. This August is not May. They think that actually just issuing any rebuttal at all is just fine. That's what you get from these most of the fact-checking articles. It's just like, okay, the last word. Let's just get the last word in. No matter, even if it doesn't make any sense or we're wrong, let's get the last word in and leave it at that. But if we stayed, all bets were off. So we were left with a simple decision. Either follow through on the commitment made by... They didn't follow through by the commitment made by the last administration to leave Afghanistan, or we weren't leaving and commit another tens of thousands more troops going back to war. That was the choice. No, it was Trump. The real choice between leaving or escalating. No, Trump single-handedly reversed U.S. foreign policy. CMW! CMW, thank you. Keep pushing day after day. Things will change. Godspeed, HE. Thank you, CMW. Greatly appreciated. Thank you for the kind words and the encouragement. CMW. I believe that as well. I think that eventually the future is bright. I think that we're going to have to go through a couple rocky years, four with Biden, or Kamala Harris could take over. CMW, thank you. CMW, thank you so very, very much. Thank you as always, CMW, thank you. Yeah, I think that the future is bright. Ultimately, the future will be bright. That's why I say, like, for the next couple of years, focus on your life and your health and your family. And CMW, thank you again, as always. As always. Focus on your life, your health, your family. And it's like you cannot let the trajectory of our country now affect your life. Your life has to keep going up, 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 happy, success, joy. Focus on the important things in your life. The things that people you love, things you love to do, and just focus on making your life happier every single day. Do the things necessary to make your life happy. It's like you're watching. We are watching, ladies and gentlemen, a complete train wreck. We are watching a complete train wreck of a presidency that is being, when they say, "Oh, there's nothing to see here. Move on." It's like, this horrific scene. You're like, "Oh my God." That's okay. They have normalized, remember they're like, "Oh, Trump is normalizing Trump." They have normalized Americans being stuck behind enemy lines. That's okay to them. That's just fine to them. That's just fine to them. That's just fine to them. And it's like, how can you simply be okay with Americans stuck because Biden decided to engage in a rushed, botched withdrawal that ignored the May 1st timeline? We were supposed to be out by May 1st. We were supposed to be out by May 1st. Why weren't we out by May 1st? And that's the thing. It's like this sleight of hand. These people are magicians. They're like illusionists in a semantic sense. They don't tell you, like, it's one good thing, watching this channel. It's it is so easy to simply understand, like, using basic logic. Using basic logic. All you have to do is say, okay, why are there still Americans left behind? You can't say it's Trump. You cannot say it's Trump because Trump's not president. You can't say it's his deal because his deal called for Americans to be completely evacuated by May 1st. Why weren't they completely evacuated by May 1st? Why didn't Biden, if he was so bound by that deal, why didn't he start withdrawing Americans? Why didn't he start withdrawing Americans in January? That's the question. And they're so beholden to consensus just to cover their own behinds. The decision to end the military lift operation at Kabul airport was based on a unanimous recommendation by my civilian and military advisors. Nothing was unanimous. It's never unanimous. Even for your handlers, it's probably never unanimous. But it should have been your decision, not a consensus of people. And then he goes, we succeeded in what we set out in Afghanistan over a decade ago. Then we stayed for another decade. It was time to end this. You were part of all of that. President Obama's administration literally campaigned on ending the war and didn't. Then sent over 100,000 there. American soldiers. I mean, these people lie all the time, but they never get called out. These people lie all the time, but they never get called out. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to just, not plugging this channel, but you don't even need this channel or any channel. You don't need me. You're smart enough. Watching this, just ask simple questions. Why are Americans still there? Because Trump hasn't been in office since January. Okay, it's September now, August 31st. Okay, so now how on earth was it a choice between a week and a half rushed evacuation? Like, we started evacuating about 2 weeks ago. It was complete. And then they gave, where in the Doha Agreement does it say give the Taliban the ability to work as security and guarding the actual airport we were evacuating from? Where in any agreement does it say that? Where does it say give lists of American names and Afghan names? Are the names of people of the Americans left behind? Has Biden given their names on a list to the Taliban? But again, these are simple questions that can't penetrate the morally superior veneer of, oftentimes apoplectic, but always morally superior liberal Democrats. God bless them. They're good people. You can't be morally superior if you act in a completely immoral manner. It's one thing to have. It's one thing to look at a political side and say, okay, but it's another thing. I was against Trump's family separation policy. He ended it in 2018. Of course, they presided over worse with President Obama. The Senate report under President Obama was even worse. But they don't care. And you have the same types of horrendous, heart-wrenching things taking place right now. But they don't care. They don't care. It's always focus on whatever our political adversaries do. Tara Reade, don't believe her. That's their mentality. Even though, according to their own value system, they should absolutely believe her, and Biden should have resigned because they wanted Kavanaugh to resign. But see, again, they don't believe people who accuse their politicians because they're hypocrites, and they utilize outrage and pain and suffering to their advantage. Democrats are really good at utilizing suffering to their advantage. Historical suffering. You can look. Trump is beloved by I can go into it. I can go into a lot of Jewish people around the world, in Israel and in the U.S., who care about Israel, love Trump. They do. The most religious Jewish people love Trump. Okay? But the way that they utilize Jewish history to go and say, oh, well, he said that he called people fine people, or, Black and African American history. You look, it's like they only care. The only reason that you can look, Biden said, you are not who you are if you don't vote for me. Worse than anything. Literally looks in the camera at Charlemagne the God. You ain't black if you don't vote for me. And it's completely swept under the rug. And that's more offensive than anything Trump has ever said. I'd like to know something less offensive or more offensive that Trump said. I mean, Biden gets away with everything because he is the vehicle. He is the the human being used to just, to just try to wake them up from the Trump nightmare. Crown Vic lover, hello. Crown Vic, yes. HA, please wake me up from this nightmare. Crown Vic lover, let me tell you something. The future is bright for you and for me and for our families and for everybody here. You have to just focus on your life in this time period, your happiness, and understand, I think everybody should understand that we're in for tough times, but that doesn't mean our lives have to be tough. Focus on your happiness for the next 3 to 4 years, because we have a president who's just going to preside over catastrophe after catastrophe. He's not capable. Look, Biden is not. Trump is capable of presiding over record low unemployment. You could say it was President Obama's doing. You could say he was lucky. It doesn't matter. He presided over record low unemployment. Biden is presiding over crime, inflation, a terrible economy, because Democrats tanked the economy to save people, which didn't save people. And now he's presiding over a catastrophe in terms of foreign policy. He's not capable of any, he's been in office for decades because he's a creature of politics. He's a political animal. He's a very good politician. He's amiable. He used to be amiable before he started slurring his speech and getting upset with people and angry at people. That's the thing with him. When anyone calls him, he was at a manufacturing plant and he used profanity at a voter. That's the thing with him. He's so gone. His mind is so fried that his little defense mechanism is getting angry at people and yelling and lashing out. That's the last. That's his way of telling the world that he really knows what's going on. And if you dare correct him, well, you got another thing coming, buddy. And it's yeah, we know that act isn't really going to, not going to really do anything. But you look, ladies and gentlemen, and Crown Vic lover, thank you so very much. You look, and it's I think that your life, my life, everyone's life we should be happier next year, the year after that, than we are even now. And the trajectory of our lives should be going up, better. The country, however, so don't let politics affect you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The country, however, is going to be facing crisis after crisis after crisis because Biden has proven in his life that he's never presided over something phenomenal. Trump presided over record low unemployment throughout most of his tenure. It doesn't matter how you explain it. He had record low unemployment, and the pandemic wasn't his fault. It was the fault of people like Andrew Cuomo. It was the fault of people like Whitmer and others. These are governors that had absolute authority over their states. Trump did not. And don't say he downplayed. You know what? The Democrats all downplayed everything. Then they upplayed it. Then they downplayed it. Then they upplayed it. And it doesn't matter how they played. It doesn't matter how anyone played anything from a public relations viewpoint. Trump's decisions did not lead to people losing their lives. There's not one decision he made. Governors made decisions. Governors and mayors. They're the ones who should be blamed, Republican or Democrat. But the Democrats had the worst outcomes. Go look at the New York Times statistics. God bless the people of New York and New Jersey. Democrats there presided over the absolute worst outcomes from the very beginning. From the very beginning. So, but Crown Vic, thank you very, very much. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. You look at Biden's track record. All you have to look at, and this is, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, because like even the best families have to deal with, you know, kids who have substance abuse issues. It's not necessarily the parents' fault. I mean, you could do the best you can in life, and still, like, you know, your son or daughter could be, you know, hang with the wrong people, and there you go. But look at Hunter's life. Look at the whirlwind, the, you know, just the catastrophe. And if he wasn't propped up, if he didn't have every, like, and this is what Democrats, when they talk about privilege so much, it's because they want to shield themselves from the obvious catastrophe. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You have to ask yourself, look at Hunter's life. Substance abuse issues, maybe even now. Completely propped up by media. Now he's an artist selling paintings to unknown buyers. Before, he was an oil and gas expert who never had any experience in oil and gas, who didn't even speak the language of the country he was in. Okay, it's not about nepotism. It's about utilizing the United States government to enrich yourself. That's not allowed. That's what they accused Trump and his family of doing, which couldn't be further from the truth. They lost money. You think the negative, the hysterical media coverage helped Trump or his kids? The opposite is true with Hunter. His emails show pay-to-play schemes. And, you know, he's losing his 38 in a dumpster because his girlfriend, you know, put it in a dumpster because who knows why. I mean, not even thinking. These are like the, you know, Second Amendment control people. Not even thinking that somebody could get it. Right outside of a school, by the way. Outside of a convenience store, outside of a school. In the convenience store parking lot. And so it's like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'm not trying to pile on or, you know, some things are beyond your control as a parent, but you know what? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Look at Hunter's life. Look at Ivanka's life. Look at Jared. Look at Jared Kushner. Look at Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump. Do they have like massive substance abuse issues? Are they in? Do they have emails? Do they leave laptops? 3 different ones apparently lost. Do they leave? Do they lose laptops at a computer repair store? And those emails show pay-to-play schemes that, my God, were so incriminating that Twitter had to suspend the New York Post. I mean, Twitter is like, they have every conceivable advantage, and still half the country doesn't buy what they're selling. So, it's like the thing that Biden and Democrats and media do is they'll let you know that they're heading towards the iceberg. But as long as they let you know we are heading towards an iceberg, and you know what? There's nothing we can do because Trump said us. Well, when we left port, Trump told us to keep going forward. And so we're heading forward right towards this iceberg. It's really Trump's fault. And look, we notified the iceberg. We said, hey, you should probably move from our way. Do you think the iceberg listened? No. So therefore, we're going to continue going. And once we hit it, it won't be our fault. It'll be everyone else's fault. And the fact-checking organizations will protect us. And the entire American political establishment will protect us. And that's why 30% of Americans, 70%, 60 to 70% distrust media. Because they know. Media, look, if you like Trump, you're going to lose friends, lifelong friends, because their brains are fried with CNN and MSNBC. They have no basic logical reasoning skills. They don't want to lose their own friends. So then they're going to jettison you. You have to understand, this thing is about peer pressure, and it's about the American political establishment propping up continual lies. It's a system that, like, you have Hollywood, Major League Baseball. It's just follow the leader. It's just, oh, well, that's where the power is. Let's just gravitate towards one side. It's short-lived. Once you have repercussions for these actions, once you have a political side that actually fights back peacefully. Okay, 13 Americans lost their lives. Where are the investigations now into Biden's administration? You had mostly supporters of President Trump lose their lives in January. And those people should be alive. 5 people should be alive today. We had 13 Americans, and close to 200 Afghans who lost their lives. Where are the investigations? Where's Eric Swalwell suing Biden? Okay, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get any of that because they're hypocrites. They're complete hypocrites. Christopher! Sent out my recall ballot today. Felt so good. Yes. I want Larry Elder. But see, again, like, it's like, Christopher, I want Larry Elder definitely to win, but it's like, I guess now I'm a little bit too jaded from things that have gone on. These political machines are so good at what they do. So, if we lived in a world where you can really count on, well, I won't get into it. Christopher, thank you. Yep, I want Larry Elder. He's awesome. Larry Elder is awesome. You compare Larry Elder to Joe Biden, it's like comparing a Lamborghini to an old, used Ford Pinto. Biden being the Pinto. Larry Elder would run circles around Biden in any debate. It's like Biden is a propped up career politician who's failed upwards. He was amiable. He was a lifelong senator. He was a good. You're talking about plagiarism and he was just these politicians. Biden had ambition. He was ambitious and amiable. And he got along with everybody. And he had this desire and ambition to succeed in politics. And so that's what he did. You can't really... Does anyone know a signature achievement of Biden in politics? No, you know the failures. He voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. He voted to get us into Afghanistan. And then he botched the withdrawal. completely botched. We still have Americans there. And you say, oh, well, we did notify them. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back at around 10 p.m. Pacific. So be here, ladies and gentlemen, 10 p.m. Pacific, ladies and gentlemen. To my super chat, thank you. Eric and Luke, thank you. Be here at 10 p.m. I will have a live stream at 10 p.m. Pacific. So I'll see you all there. 10 p.m. Pacific, everybody. See you soon. Thanks, everybody. Indy, hello. Thanks, everybody. Eric and Luke, thank you to my super chat. Thank you, Christopher, everybody here. Thank you so very much. CMW, thank you as always. Thanks, everyone. See you at 10